Chasa Valtosa Sachim Dav Chav Tes Amid Beis Dibra Maskal Rab Ashi Shehikshu Amai Mo'al Rab Yosef Aglili. So the Gemara says like this: if you eat chametz shel hektish, it's a machlokas if you're mile or not mile. So the Gemara says according to Rab Yosef Aglili that it's mutter bahanoah. So really, you're able to be, it has a value, chametz shel hektish, because you're able to be poda it and use it like a fuel. Where it says it's the chazi lemifrake, because you can be poda the hektish, ula hasiko tafas tafshilo, and to use it as fuel under your tafshil. That's what the Gemara says. So therefore, it has a value, and therefore your mo be hektish. It's very interesting. Over there, I remember there's some machlokas in the Rishoni. That what do you have to come on to that? Why can't hektish sell it to a guy? Some Rishonim hold hektish is usher, just like there's a disr on hektish, just like there's a disr on Yisrael. And other people say there is no hektish disr on hektish, but it's a whole shaila in Rishonim. If isurim apply to hektish, and there was I don't know how where they, but it seems to be there's.
I mean, the concern is that if it's
there's a question if it's no value, there's no milah.
Right, but
so it's aser mahanoah, there's no value, the Gemara says. So the question is, why is it no value? It's worth money to hektish because they don't have an aser mahanoah. They could sell it to a goy.
So I'm trying to say they're selling it to a goy because
to make money. It's worth. The whole point is that the whole reason there's no milah is because it has no value. But if it has value to hektish, why shouldn't there be milah? And if they're allowed to sell it to a guy, so why shouldn't there be value? Why shouldn't there be milah hektish? So I ate hektish. Let's say a person ate chametz shel hektish. He ate something of value. The Gemara says if it's aser b'hanoah, there's no value, so there's no milah.
So the fact is that that's interesting because is it by the person who is mal it? I think that's why if it's a person.
He doesn't have to have value as long as he was a male of something of value to hektish. He's considered a male b'hektish. Some Rishonim say that hektish is usher to have hanoah. And some say there's a din because it's usher hanoah. Chametz is usher hanoah. So the usher hanoah chametz is not only to a Jew, it's to hektish also. So it has no value. They can't sell it. Some other Rishonim say that it goes into ein podium as a kachin lachim l'klavim. It's a design to sell chametz to a goy. So the hektish can't sell it to a Jew because it's usher hanoah to a Jew. No one's going to buy it. Or mice it's usher hanoah, but selling it to a goy is a design. So Beth Hezron is not allowed to sell it to a goy. But others learn that hektish can't because there's an usher hanoah. Strange thing, the whole Shabbat, there's an usher hanoah to hektish. I don't know how. I never understood why there should be an isser hanoah to hektish.
Who would have the isser hanoah?
Who would do we? Oh, yeah, the Gizber wouldn't be allowed to sell it. But still, it's not his. It's that he's the. I don't know how it works. I just telling you that there is such a machlokas. Anyway. But the Ma'aseh, the Gemara says, but according to Rabbi Yosef Aglili, it's mutter b'hanoah. Rabbi Yosef Aglili holds chametz and pesach is only usher b'achila and mutter b'hanoah. So the Gemara says, according to him, hektish, someone could buy it from hektish, could sell it to a Jew, and he'll buy it because it's mutter b'hanoah for him. He'll use it. He can't eat it, but he'll use the chametz like a fuel. Hasigel tachas tavshila. So Tos asks the question, how could he buy it? As soon as he buys it, he's going to be over Bar Yirah. Why do you say, according to Rabbi Yosef Glili, why doesn't it say there is me'ilah if he eats it? Because it has value, the chazi lemifrake, u'asiku tachas tavshilo, because a Jew can be poted and use it as fuel, tachas tavshilo. So Tos asks the question, how could he be poted? Even if it's mutter b'hanoah, it's only asr b'achila, how could it be poted? Yavar Bar Yirah. He can't own it. So he's going to be over Bar Yirah. So right there, what can hektish do with it? They can't sell it to a Jew to use it. He's not allowed to have it. Umikan, and from that kasha, there's other rayas he has also, but this is the main raya, I think. The Umikan Mochiach the Ri, the Masha Chametz Almanas Lavaro, ain't over that a Jew would be able to be poda the Chametz, Lasiko Takas Tavshilo, and he's not going to be over because that's a way of doing beer, right? He's going to. And his pigeon will be chal, and it's not going to be over by Yerah because he's just owning it in order to use it as fuel. So that's like mashal manas lavaro, and you're not over. And Tosfos explains, you read in Tzmut there, every time the mishum shabay Yerah nitek liyaseh. So it's hard to understand. There's a whole bunch of Shagasari who says he doesn't understand this. What do you mean it's... Since when is a lav hanitik l'essay? Are you allowed to over a lav to do the essay? Kasva Shagasari de la Rambam b'chein l'Rashi. First of all, he says they hold bal Yerah zainu nitik l'essay. It's not so special because the Rambam says you get malchus. So most people do learn, and according to the Rambam, it's not a nitik l'essay, and according to Rashi, it's not so clear. But he says, if you hold it's not a lav hanitik l'essay, then what's this heter? They invite you with Tosfos Kasha. The whole heter of Mashal Manas Kavaro because he holds it's a lav hanitik l'essay, Tosfos says, and they hold it's not a lav hanitik l'essay. So the Shagasari says, so what are they going to do with Tosfos Kasha? How could a person be poda? Haim yitartzu kushas atosas. The Yachal Liptos B'chol Pam Pachas Mikazayas. He could be poda less than a kazayas at a time. They ain't over because that's his shita. You're not over by Yerah. The whole problem is you can't be poda because of by Yerah. So there is no Baal Yerah. But Gam Isser Torah Laka Kamoshi V'El because you're not over less than kazayas. Chatzi Shiur is not asman Torah by Baal Yerah. And he holds, just like there's no Torah, and he says, the Afilus D'Rabbanan Laka. In the Maisa, he could be quoted, there's not even a Isser D'Rabbanan. Other people say, and this is a whole Shiloh, other people discuss, a Jew could be, let's say not on Pesach, you could be poda hektish. So could you be poda only if you're going to take violence over it yourself? Or could you be poda and it should go to Hefker? Or is the act of pidyon the transfer from Hektish to your Rishus? Or is there an Indian of being poda, even if it doesn't go into your Rishus, to just to take off the Hektish, and it becomes, the Kedusha falls on the money that you give, and it becomes Hefker. So you see from Tosfos, the Tosfos Sakasha, how could be poda? He's going to be over Baal Yerah. The Shagasari likes the Kasha. He just gives us heter of Chatzi Shiur. So but other people answer Tosfos that could that could be poda. That should become Hefker. I think there's some math like that.
Right.
I don't know anything about this, but that's just telling what some people say. But that's a whole big sugya how pidyon works.
Pidyon a transfer, or is pidyon a removal of the Kedusha?
Yeah.
It's an interesting idea when you're being poda it. The idea of being poda, the word poda seems to say that you're removing, sort of like you're removing the Kedusha, you're taking it out of that state, and the manashach becomes yours. It's like the language itself. It's like like if it's an aspect of being koneh. Like poda, it seems to be different than being koneh. I mean, if it's a immediate transfer, you're buying it, and then you can use the word koneh because it's a transfer of the kingdom. Poda seems to imply that you're removing a status.
No, I don't know what it's totally in. I just know that there's a mafok. Because you see these Tosfos, they all say holds that you have to be. I mean, that's his kasha. How could we go to you be over by your road?
Yeah, it seems to be a straightforward transaction. It seems to be.
There's a pasuk that learns opinion. I don't know if the Gemara brings a pasuk or the Rishonim. It says V'nasana kesef v'kamlo. So there they bring a right to Tosfos that you see. V'nasana kesef v'kamlo. It becomes yours. It's not so question.
I'm just saying from the word poda, the pidyon. It's like the word pidyon seems to imply that you're sameach. I'm just saying just the word.
I can't agree with you. I just don't have a background in the language of Pidgin and the Torah language. I mean, maybe in English when you speak about redemption, it works like that. You have to know from the languages of the Torah what Pidgin is.
You think of something like Pidgin Shvurim. It's like
getting him out of there.
Right. You know what I mean? It's like. I mean, I'm for sure not a big language person, especially in Hebrew, even English. But it's just something that.
Okay. So that's like the Earth man.
Yeah. It just as you're saying this, it's like Poda usually there's no proof for anything. I'm just saying when you're using the language, you think like that, and really it's being pointed out here that Tosis is much more of a Kona type thing, and this is.
But that's what really Pasuk is. But also, I guess it comes much more like
more like that, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So he says to get around the question. And I told you last week that there's a question how to learn Tosis. This Chiddush that Tosis says you can be Mashal, Manas, Levaro, and you're not going to be over. However you get around the problems. Why this Lavanitic glass is different than all Lavanitic glasses according to the Re. But there's an actual question what he means, because as far as this Raya, you only have a Raya that you could be Mashan and begin to be Mavara right away.
Right.
But let's say you're Mashan and you plan to be Mavara tomorrow or in a few hours, you don't have a Raya, you could be Mashal Manas Lavara. But many people who bring this Tosis learn that Mashal Manas Lavaro is a general rule. That's why the Shagasari understood it too. So since it's a lavanetically, I say as long as you're Mashal Manas to do the beer, you're not going to be over by a matzah, which is a big, very hard to condition. Some say no. It's talking that as soon as you take it, you start doing the beer. So that's even though until the beer is done, you didn't work Mavar yet. But since you're in the process of doing the beer, so you're not going to be over by a row. That's all the Re meant, which isn't such a big, hard thing to understand. It's still hard to understand what the Sushal Talavanatigliasi is, but it's a different basis. But it's a very big focus how to understand Tosis. And I looked up today, and so certainly the Shagasari understood it the first way, and then but they bring it of Magen Avram, because there's a question if you find chametz on Yantif, so the din is you're not allowed to burn it, you cover it up, and you wait till Chol Moed.
Right.
And the question is why don't we say the Gemara's mashma with mitoch you could burn it, but we pass even with mitoch, even though there's a little mitoch in Yantif, it's not called. Why isn't it called a tzarech? You shouldn't have chametz in your rishus. So it's not called a tzarech, and you can't burn it. You have to wait till Chol Moed to cover it up, and you wait till Chol Moed. So there, the Magen Avram says, excuse me, the Magen Avram says that you're not. It's not called such a tzarech because the Shulchan Aruch is going with the reshit that they could be mashal manas levar. So if you found it, even if you didn't do little, you're not going to. It's still not going to be called a tzarech al because you can be mashal manas levar. So there you see that he understood also mashal manas levar didn't mean that you're osik and that we're right away. You're waiting until Chol Moed. It's also called Mashal Manas. But other Achronim argue with him because of that. They say he being misbafka. Then I saw someone say that even this Tosis that says you can be Mashal Manas Levaro, they had a whole cheshbon which I didn't have. That could be he's only going, and that Tosis was only going because there the Gemara was going where Yosef Glili that a chametz is mutter to have hanoah. So when Tosa says you could be Mashal Masavar, he was only going in Rabbi Yossi HaGlili. Because the Torah allowed you to have Hanoah, so what's the case if Torah allowed you to have Hanoah? It wasn't when you were Mashal Manas Lavar. But if your Chametz is Aser B'Hanoah, then Tosa would never say you could be Mashal Masavar. I'm not exactly sure exactly what they meant. They saw that brought down, but then they bring rayos that it's not not true. There's other Tosas that says even this Morgan Avram, Masnazara, is talking about the regular chametz even will be passing on Tosar about.
Right.
But they have other rights from Tosas himself that where Sushtos Mashmas Baro is not even according to Yossi Aglili. But anyway, the Chagasar isn't happy with it. He says because you could be quoted Pachos Mike Shiur. Over Amos, and he says there's no Chetzi Shiur Asr Min Torah, and it's not even Chetzi Shiur Asr Min Rabbanan. And the Minchas Chinuch says that the MS, he holds that Hifri's Alamida, he went too far, the Shagasari. Lomer da Filu is the Rabbanan Lake. He says he's not happy with that there shouldn't even be, in other words, to say the Splora, there's not Chetzi Shiur Deraisa, he heard, he himself brings it down a couple of times, but he says, why shouldn't there be a Chetzi Shiur Asr Min Rabbanan? He says, but Rayasal mi Botzek Shebesidke Areva. I guess he brings a raya that if you have less than a Kazayas, you don't have to worry about Botzek that's stuck on the cracks of this Keli. He says, Eino Halchacha, and I don't know why not. So I looked up someplace, and they said it's not a Halchacha, because over there, it's less than a kazayas, but it gets buttled to other stuff in the sareva. So it's not even a chatzi shiur there. The al-korchat tzarech lomar, and he says to say this vort of the shagasari, that the person can be quoted according to Yossi Luli, tzarech lomar that feels rabbanan like he's going to have to say there's not even a rabbanan, or else he can't be quoted in rabbanan. The imoy osir rabbanan, Shayach Mila, because he says that if Lamaisa he can't be quoted, so then Baitya, the chametz has no value to hektish because no one's going to be able to be quoted. That even if there's a Drabbana that stops the pigeon, still it has no value in the market, and therefore there's no Me'ilu if the chametz of hektish has no value.
He's defending Tosfos' argument.
He's saying the Shagasari has to be going, that it's not, and he's agreeing with Tosfos that if there were Yitzhak Rabbanan to be male, it wouldn't help.
Right.
So he has to say that the Shagasari holds his eitzah of being quoted less than a share at a time is not a good eitzah, because you're going to have to say, and the Shagasari does say it, there's not even an Yitzhak Rabbanan, he said it's not true. Okay. Well, if Masha Kasabnu Lamayla Osyad Gibel, excuse me, Osyad Beis, F. Shalomar, the Yifta B'chol Pam Pachos Mishav Pruta. He says, before he was talking about being Poda less than a Kazayas of Chametz, Afkata Shir Zaras Minatara. But he said, let him be Poda every time less than a Shav Pruta. Below Mikri Lachem Larashi, the Aina over Afilu Midrabanan. So here, so how is this going to work? I mean, he's going to be Poda less than a Shava Pruta. So then he's saying it's not going to be Lachem. So how does the pigeon work if it's not going to be Lachem?
How you put it? You don't have the kesef. I mean, is less than short put considered kesef?
I think that's what he's going to go into. Let's finish because maybe he's going to ask our questions. So I didn't prepare this next paragraph here. So he says, could be the case is talking about the Minchas Chinuch saying that it's going to be poda less than a shava pruta. Well, mikvi lachem Rashi, and then when he gets to chametz, it's not called lachem. The aina over afilu midra button. And how does that work? I'm just thinking. Even of course, so. In other words, he's learning according to Rashi that if you have something less than a shava pruta, it's not called lachem. So you're taking less than a shava pruta, and that's why that part is called lachem, because it's part of the whole pruta they have. But you're using this less than a shava pruta to be poda, and somehow that less than a shava pruta that you slip aside, he's not worried about. That's not lachem, because then you should ask the question, why is it a good opinion? But the less than a pruta that you're being poda, he says it's not going to be lachem, so he's also saying that the pigeon is not going to be lachem. I don't understand how that less than shava pruta works. Let's see if he's going to say. I'm Baba Mitzia Perek Hazav Daf Nun Gimel Lebeis. The Meiser. Oh, so it's the Gemara. So Shagasari knows the Gemara as we don't. The Meiser Pachas Mishava Pruta Einu Nifta. If you have meiser left on a shavar pruta, you can't be poted. Who perish Rashi Dimar Maskal Prat, the Eino Tofis Bidyano. The less than a shavar pruta is not strong enough to be Tofis Pidyon. Because Makom, that's only true, Dafku Meiser Sheni, the seed Mima'as Ro. Ayin Sham, that the more darshan is out of a pasuk. Avo behektish, that's when you're being quoted Meiser sign.
So it has to be, so why it's Mima'as Ro? Is that just a drasha, or is he looking for the fact it's actually saying his Meiser? Is it just a...
I don't know. Avo behektish lo matzinu the pachas vishavar pruta eino nifta. Because if you find it, then you can't be quoted less than a shavar pruta by Meiser. We don't find it by hektish. Ayin shavatos your maskal ain. I don't know what Tosa says. Kedas harambam perakei Meiser sheni lachadala v'gam Meiser sheni nifta af she'eno shavar pruta. So he learns a different shot in Agmara. There's a din. Normally, when you're quoted hektish, you have most of chomish. Just that din says that you could be quoted by Meiser sheni less than a shavar. The eno most of chomish. But Fil Das Rashi that learns in more of a farish that you can't even be poda Meiser sheni less than a shavar pruta. He says Das Rashi lo matzasi didn't say hektish. He says I only know that pasuk more by hektish versus a pasuk, so I don't have any reason to apply it to hektish. So therefore he says l'chora, it's possible to be poda chametz of hektish less than a shavar pruta is worth at a time. Ach l'chora im yifta pachas shavar pruta ha'eich yotzei hektish l'chulin. Oh, that's my...
Okay.
I skipped?
Yeah, in Cain, Yachol Liftos Mat to postpone the shavar pruta the hektish. Okay, okay. So now it's
Ach l'chora im yifta pachas shavar pruta ha'eich yotzei hektish l'chulin. It shouldn't work because ha'ein ha'pachas shavar pruta nichnas l'hektish. He says your pachas shavar pruta can't become hektish because there's a Rashi that says you can't be makdish less than a shavar pruta. So he says the whole opinion is that the money becomes hektish and the thing of hektish becomes l'chulin. But according to Rashi, how could it be quoted less than a shavar pruta? Rashi holds hektish and l'chav. He says ha'ein ha'pachas shavar pruta nichnas l'hektish. Rashi can get back in bezin bezin remaskel pachas. Rashi says over there to Zardos the ein hektish chal pachas mi pruta. The Tosach on the Maskal Pachas, he sigo allowed the hektish chal. Raksham ain't the daito hektish pachas pruta. That Gemara, which Rashi, I don't remember the cases of the Gemara, but he says that Tosach says in that case das wasn't unless in a shavar pruta. But you could do it. Rashi learns you can't, even if your das is on. Avon hektish or ferish pachas shavar pruta chal. That's what Tosach holds. Im kain la Tosach vade nicha. He says my teretz that you could be poda less than a shavar pruta's worth of chametz. And then the chametz that you have will not be usher. You'll be able to put in. There won't be any bayro bal matzeh. Yafilu l'Rashi yachol liftos pachas mishaver pruta al pruta. Oh, and he says even if you say there is a problem, according to Rashi, how could you make a less than shavar pruta hektish? So who told you to be? You don't have to be poda. This solves our problem too. You don't have to be poda even less than a shavar pruta. You can be poda with the pruta. The whole idea is you're only getting back less than a shavar pruta worth of hektish.
But I'm thinking about that, but that doesn't make it worth a shavar pruta. I was thinking about that. They can be poda with the pruta less than a shavar pruta, but that's still. Like,
that should make it worth the hektish or shavar pruta because they can't get.
Right. In other words, it's a question of what is the actual value of the product. I mean, if I'm willing to spend more for something, then by definition, the value is what I'm spending for it. So it seems what he's saying here is that the value is what it is, and if you're willing to spend more on it, that doesn't change its value.
The nichnas pruta hektish, v'hachametz shepachas v'shar pruta will be yotzei lechulin. Okay, I just want to check one thing. U'lemaiser she'ena mivur b'ramim shemalach avav b'po lemaiser she'ena yosem midomav bo nitva sa'atosos lemaiser. Hak b'hektish. Again, he's saying that's a special din by meiser, but hak b'hektish lo matzina zeh v'yachol liftos pachas asher pruta al pruta. He says, Guf hadin behektish meiser sheni tzorich rav. Ulakamin kasafti the Guf divrei harashi chidushu the pachas shepruta lo habi lachem. It's based on that whole Rashi sheet that it's not lachem. Gam kasafti le'el the yeshlom radaf l'Rashi over by roa b'chametz. Even though it's not lachem, the lo gara mikibo of all of our vayas the matzoi be yado. So this is my point, was that l'chara that you learn that pidyon is like a kinyan, if it's not going to be lachem, so who's just like that they're clearing if you could be poda that should become hefker l'chara. Here you're being poda if it's not lachem, you're being poda and it's not going to be here. So b'chal they should have said you could be poda for hefker. Why do you have to say this?
Right.
If he held that way, but he's holding it's not going to be lachem, and the opinion isn't going to work.
It's not going to be the opinion won't work. It's not just a question of the comments that there's no opinion as well.
Yeah, but he holds there is opinion because that's he's saying that's his answer. He says you could be. But
he also holds the lachem. He's saying
no, it's not going to be lachem.
He's saying. So he's saying even according like that he's saying
his whole teretz is according to Rashi that the Tosel Kasha was.
Because it's not lachem. It's just not worse than a Fridays.
Yeah.
So it's still not lachem.
It's still not lachem.
So it's not like a pidyon.
It's not lachem. Still the pidyon helps.
Right.
I mean that's the l'maisa. So it comes out Tosel Kasha was according to Rabbi Yosef Glili. How could you be poda the ma'aser shani? You're going to be over by your raw. So Tosel's teretz is because you could be mashal manas. So it's going to be yours, and you're not going to be over by your because it's mashmas lavaro. The Shagasari doesn't hold the mashmas lavaro. Holds there's no such thing, which a lot of the Rishonim hold also like that. So Shagasari said, teretz, it can be poda less than a pachas mikashir.
Right.
So you're not going to be over by your pachas mikashir, and the Minchas Chinuch doesn't like that because he held that even if you're masking the zilchatzi shirasman the Torah by Bayira, but that still should be this or the Rabbanan. And so I guess I brought a riot from Sidkei Reva that there's no Siddur Rabbanan, and he says it's not a good riot. He doesn't say why, but he said it's not a good riot. So, but his teretz, Minchas Chinuch's teretz says you could be poda less than a shavar pruta. It has a value because you could be poda less than a shavar pruta, and you're not going to be over by your raw because less than a shavar pruta isn't lachem, right? And then he's saying that it's not so pasha because maybe you will be over by your raw, so it's not such a pasha teretz because it's no worse than kibbul achrayis. Okay, but still, so I'm saying, but a pidyon means it has to be it's the derech opinion of kesser. Because if you don't hold like, if your opinion, the other truths in the Achronim give to Tosel Kashas, you could be poda that should become hefker. So if you hold like that, you don't have to come onto this whole case. If you don't hold like that, so how come you can't be poda that should become hefker, but you could be poda and it won't be lachem? It has to somehow be under your control, even though legally it's not lachem. I don't know where that comes from.
There's some type of transfer. You're right, because he's saying that there is a transfer. It's just not worse than a flight. It's some kind of reshus maybe.
Yeah, well, he says because it's no worse than kibbul of it's motzei b'yado or something, some kind of level, even though you don't own it.
But the fact is the problem is that the whole idea, the point of this whole view of pidyon is a transfer of the kinyan. So you can't transfer the kinyan. It doesn't matter whether you have.
Yeah, so he doesn't hold you have to transfer kinyan also. And we said this whole thing with Rashi, although he's set it up a number of times, and people do understand Rashi, you can't be a bailing unless on a shakrutim, and most people Don't hold Rashi only said that by the case of sukkah, where he said a sukkah that's part of one sukkah of a whole klal. So the Gemara says it's not lachem, and he says because not everyone even have a Shara Pruta in it. But that's only when it's Bible to a lot of people. So if you only have less than a Shara Pruta, you're not considered a Bailam. But if you own it completely, then you are a Bailam. So that's the time in this teretz also that if you just buy chametz less than a Shava Pruta's worth, you are a Bailam. You're not a Shitta Bailam. But he's going to Shitasu. They understand you can't be you can't be a Bailam.
Lachem by a mitzvah, I'm just thinking in terms of a sukkah. Let's talk about lachem for the mitzvah of lachem. It's yours. Is that the same as by the very fact of saying that you're all partners in the sukkah with less than a Sheva Pruta part of it? The theory is a sukkah that everyone in Klal Yisrael has a less than Sheva Pruta monetary right in it. So it could be that there's, is it some type of monetary right that's not lachem? In other words, does lachem have to be? You think lachem is just ownership, but it's just simple, straightforward ownership. But the point is if you're arguing that there's such a sukkah with people sharing ownership, when you say it's not lachem, are you saying it's just not lachem for the mitzvah sukkah because it's not yours? Or are you saying that there's no such thing as this type of ownership of such a sukkah?
The Rashi over there explains because each one only has less than a Sheva Pruta.
Yeah, but is that it didn't lachem?
Well, that's the worst proof. It's not lachem according to Rashi. I mean, Rashi says, and the more brings a proof that you don't need lachem. Because it says there's one sukkah. So Rashi says because in one sukkah for all Klal Yisrael, each one doesn't have a Sheva Pruta, and less than a Sheva Pruta is not lachem.
So forget about the mitzvah. So you're saying that. Forget about the mitzvah lachem. So you're saying that the reason is that if all Klal Yisrael owns this holds this sukkah, and it's less than a Sheva Pruta right for everyone, then no one owns this sukkah.
That's the way they understand Rashi. Yeah.
Like it's a monetary statement. It's a statement that this is an ownerless sukkah.
Right.
And therefore that's why you need lachem. So lachem is not just a din in the mitzvah of this particular mitzvah. Okay.
How else could you learn Rashi?
What?
How else would you learn Rashi?
Unless there's some concept of lachem being different, like that this item of a sukkah that's owned by so many people that don't have a Sheva Pruta right. I mean, you have to say it's ownerless. I mean, or it's not just a begam and lachem. It's begam and lachem. It's just that it's an ownerless sukkah. It's like no one owns this sukkah. You need to have ownership in the sukkah, and no one owns this sukkah.
Well, why not? Why don't they? I mean, if one person owned it and it was less than a Sheva Pruta, then it would be lachem. According to these people, one person owned the sukkah that would be worth less than a Sheva Pruta.
Right.
It would be considered lachem. But if there's 10 people owning it, then it's not lachem.
And it would not be because it's ownerless. I mean, you would not even say you would have to say that the 10 people owning the sukkah don't really own it. It's a monetary statement that.
Okay. So now we're onto another part, the Dine Tarubas. Okay. I hope it's going to be easy because Tarubas chametz is a big problem. Das Rambam Perek Dal Mechametz Matzah Halacha Ches. The al tarubas, that if you have a tarubas of chametz and non-chametz, kishem shenisraba la'achila, just that there's a special pasuk that asks tarubas chametz. It's a lav asachayv karas, but there's a lav on tarubas chametz. Kain israbi linyan ba'al yeroah u'ba'al yamatzi. The pasuk which is marbet is not only a ribi in israchila, but there's a ribi that you're over by yeroah by yamatzi on tarubas chametz also. The Chain Das Rashi, the Parish of Mishnah Psachim Daf and Bezim and Aleph, Elu Ovrin, Babal Yerah, that he says some of those cases of the Mishnah are Tarubas, and on Tarubas chametz you're over by Ra by Amatzah. Avodas Rabbeinu Tam Sham B'Tos Di Ramasku Be'elu. To the He Dis Rabbi L'Inyan Achila. It's true there's a special pasuk that's marvelous tarvuvas as far as eating it. Aval Ba'Yirah ain't over, but there's no pasuk ni marvelous as far as Ba'Yirah. The Los Rabbi L'Inyan Ba'Yirah, and therefore there's no Isser Ba'Yirah and tarvuvas. V'chein Chametz Nuksha L'Asovrim D'Asim and Torah. Tal Yagam came B'Shitas Elu L'Inyan Ba'Yirah. Feel right, even you could hold nuksha as deraisa, but it's only as far as achila, and Ba'Yirah doesn't necessarily go with achila. Feel man the sovereign nuksha drabanan. Even a person who holds stam chametz nuksha drabanan, we call makom yesh nuksha deraisa gampin. Even that mandamer holds there is a type of nuksha which is deraisa. Kmo peros me peros im mayim. The Ein Chayav in Klaris, but Asim in the Torah, Kishmoka Shasavnu La'el, Benyan Ba'Yirah, Tali B'Shitazelu. Do we say that it's only Nuksha Deraisa Lagabe Achila, or is it Nuksha Deraisa, once it's Deraisa, it's Nogea Ba'Yirah Ba'Yimasi also? Ba'ayim Ba'Rav Ba'Magasham, maybe B'Shem Ramach, Ta'afilu Ein Bo Kazayas B'Plei Achilas Pras, that even if there's not a kazayas, that if you eat a pras, you wouldn't end up eating the kazayas of it. We come up on mitzvah fu inyan ba yirah, but as long as in that taruvas that you have there is a kazayas, you're going to be over ba yirah. Even as far as eating, when you eat a kazayas, you want to end up eating a kazayas with a kazayas chametz. V'ayim pri megadav simen tafim beis hiksha. Even though Rambam b'Yosef b'Achlis Pras ain't Isur Torah, so the Rambam Shita is that it's only an Isur Deraisa Taruvas if there is a Kazayas b'Chlei Achilas Pras, and if it's not a Kazayas b'Chlei Pras, there's no Isur Deraisa b'Achilas. Mavur Peritas Tag Machos Asaras Alachol Yomol Im Kain Amai Ovrim Yavesh b'Yavesh. So he's saying, so why should it be over Ba'Yirah, I guess? He says, what is the Maggid Mishnah saying? If you're not over, says if there's no achila, according to the Rambam, there's no lav, so why would you be over Ba'al Yirah? That as far as eating, you need the Indian of Kazakh pras, but this is like a svara that you afford have it. So that's why it's not the batal, because the Kazayas is there. Ayin Sham Barikus, maybe B'Shem Ramam, the Minotaura ain't a batal b'masa when it comes to things that by Tumas Masa we say as long as you're carrying it, it's there, it doesn't become batal. In Kain, over in Ba'Yirah. Okay, so these are hard sugyas to go through what term, because the Rambam sheet is that the other Rishonim hold that if you have a kazayas with the process, mamash comes the rice you have karas. In the taruvas cases, when you don't have a kazayas with the achilas process, then the Rambam sheet is no pasuk of taruvas is a kazayas with the achilas process, and you're not chayav karas.
Right, I remember that, and so why is that just chametz? I mean,
right, that's the Rishonim is.
Right.
So the loza gamni ba'yirah.
No, you start chametz.
In the Isar Chametz b'matzah b'min b'mino b'inin shemot l'achlo min ha'Torah lo, I guess it was batal at Yeshishim, I guess it was batal l'achlo min ha'Torah lo shayach ba'yirah v'v'loza gam l'yin ba'yirah in this batal after nevela b'shchuta we say is matama ma'is.
You're saying that that's a given? In the Isar Chametz b'matzah b'min b'mino. Well,
until now we were separating Achila from Ba'Yirah. We were saying cases that it's mutter b'Achila and it's also about here he's saying if it's batal, so the bittul would help her Ba'Yirah, but he just got finished saying the slur of Tumas Masa. So I'm going to have to see. Let's see if he goes right because I didn't prepare this. And let's see. Loza, Gamlin is Ba'Yirah and this batal. I'm not sure this poem. After the Vela B'Shchuta, the din is it's Metame B'Masa, because it's considered you're still carrying it. Zerak the Rabbanan. Oh, Abel Minatora Batas. In other words, what he said, what he was saying before, it's like Masa. But now he's saying that this, like Masa is only, Masa itself is only a Dra Bun.
Because it's bottle.
I am going to Ram Sham Sivka now, Prima Galamana.
It seems like the Ramesh bottle means it's no longer there.
Yeah.
It's not even Hefsta Shalis. I mean, it's not even.
So who near the who are in the Sarab Chamash Gilwa Krayas Imatza. Apple got the Maman Chavero low bottle because he can't say he's not responsible for it anymore. It's Maman and someone else's Maman doesn't make a bottle. I have the Bayad Dapple of Chesam Hal, the Sukkah Isha Shal Shala. The Kamakum Za'enu Ella the Lo Havi Maman the day. That means it doesn't become bottle and becomes his Maman. Avalinian Isser, but as far as the Isser of Chametz, it's bottle. The Isser Shal Chavero Shal Sarvim Heter Shalo Nitter Isser. El Sharach Litain, El Sharach Litain Chavero Shalo. The Maman doesn't become Isser, but the Isser becomes bottle. Im Kain Kiva the Mutter Bachil El Shayach Bal Yirah. The aim is Arab Chametz Shalachem Shaloki Lachrayas Chametz Shalo. Vade Aina over Al Chametz Shalachem. The Indian Zeh Lo Shayach Bittel. The have Chametz Lachem B'Shalo. Ki Maman Bailim Lo Bottle. So he's saying the Bittel, the Maman never is Bottle. But I don't understand something. Let me just read it again. Ki the Mutter Bachil Lo Shayach Bal Yirah. Okay. He's saying even though, in other words, the Isser is Batal, but the Mice is still Mamash al Chavero, and if you don't have Achrayas, so you're not going to be able to be, there's no way you're going to be over Baal Yirah, and say it's like your Chametz. Bittul can't make it your Chametz, it's still Mamash Chavero, so Bittul can't make it your Chametz. Okay, so I have to find out the rest of the middle part to go over. It's not so hard. Jim, what time is it? Should we go back to?
It's 9:20.
9:20. Okay, so let's try the next paragraph.
This thing over here, he's concerned. He says if the chametz b'cherem is mixes with your is inside with your own chametz. What's the concern is being able to mavafah your own chametz.
Are you going to be over? Are you being? His shayla is, are you over by your roy on that chametz chavera?
Yeah, but it's not yours, anyways.
The other guy's chametz got mixed up with your matzah, right?
No, it's in the term chametz shel chavera the chametz shelo. In the case of in the term chametz shel cherem shelo kibul alav chayis the chametz shelo.
Okay, when you're doing the serve chametz kibul chayis in matzah. I've got the man chavero lo batel. I'm the beya. You can't come say eno ela do havi man the day. I've won yinisser batel.
Right. No, that I understood.
That part, okay. Then he says the isser shel chavero shel esarad heter shelo nitter isser but tzarach litin chavero shelo.
Right. That I understood.
He came kivin say mutter bachil lo shayach bal.
Right.
Yirah.
Now the next case.
Oh, this case. In this Arab chametz shel acherim shelo kibul al achrayas. Chametz shelo.
Okay. Cool. Okay. So what's the issue? So the chametz on your chametz. You have a Baal Yirah, and then
right.
Yeah. So.
But they ain't over al chametz shel acherim.
Yeah. Okay. So what's he trying to say? Okay. The Indian said, "Well, shayach bittul." Now, what's the bittul he's concerned over here? That your chametz
that his chametz should become part of your chametz, and you should be over by Yirah and his chametz also.
So he's talking about the other person's chametz becoming batal to your chametz, and you'll be over. And let's say if it's a question of kazayas,
yeah.
Then because it's okay.
In the sarab chametz shel cherem shelo kibul chayas b'chametz shelo. Vade ain't over al chametz shel acherim. The in zelo shayach betel de lahavi chametz acherim kishalo. It's not going to be like become batel, be like his chametz. So he can't be over on that chametz. Ki mamon bailim lo batel.
And he considered we're making up a shiur.
I guess it's not committed because you're asking my nafka.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the. It's not, what's the, you're not going to eat, I mean, what's the concern? It's just like to make a shiur.
Or maybe he did bittul on his own chametz. He's not going to be able to buy raw, but the chametz of a herring got mixed up on that chametz. I'm just guessing.
But if he did bittul, it's not your chametz anyway, so it's, I mean, what's the...
If you did bittul, it's not your chametz anyway. If you bittul, it's hefker.
Right. Like, I'm not sure, I think I was trying to figure out what his case was over here.
So the case would be it's the shiur.
It's really the workings here of bittul are really like the whole thing with masa. It's like the object is still there, so
right.
It's like it raises the whole question of how bittul really works. Like the object is still there, but it's let me think about the remember this whole question, I think, in terms of bittul was if you have, batel b'rov, three solid items, right? And like 3 pieces of meat and batel b'rov and so forth and so forth. So the fact is batel b'rov. So the question is, first thing is, still can't cook them because there's still. You can't cook them together. Like there's 3 pieces of meat, and you can't take them all 3 now. You can't take all 3 and put them into one and cook them together because there's still one of them was really awesome. Then the question.
That's not so much. I thought many Rishonim hold you could. I mean, there's certain sheets
to cook together. What I heard is there's certain people say that one person can't eat all 3.
Right, the Rosh brings down such a sheet.
Right.
But I don't know if that's the rice or the rabbanon.
Okay, I don't remember.
But I don't know if that's the rice that gets in or the rabbanon that gets in.
Right. Okay, I don't remember. And then the fact is, one person. I think this is what the halachik is. One person can eat all 3.
Right.
Okay. But then the question arises is whether you can put them together and cook them together, because that is no longer a din about the barov, because you're cooking them together. Then they move into concept into being a necessity being about the b'shishim. I'm trying to remember or the fact is that. I'm trying to remember, but I remember something that you can't cook them together. You're saying the Rishonim hold you can cook them together as well?
I mean, rice you could. It was batel before?
Yeah. It was batel before. I remember the idea that I'm trying to remember it, and this was all involved in how you understand bittul. The fact is that of whether the isser continues on or not. Okay, and the fact is that I remember these 3 things, but it was a long time ago and I don't remember any details. But I remember there were 3 things there. One was whether one person could eat all 3.
Right, that's for sure. The Rosh brings down such a sheet that one person can't eat all 3.
Right, and
I just don't know if that's the right or the rabbanon.
Right. Okay. I just remember the shita, and that's because there's some shein issue that continues on, and then there's that. The fact is that then
because you're eating the issue.
Right. And then there's the idea that you can that one person can eat all 3 because every time you're eating it, in mamish, the time when you're eating it is mamish mutter. It's like the isser is batel, which seems to be the standard. And then, but I still remember that there was one thing that says you can't cook them together. And
I think that's going back. I think that the machlokas if you can eat all 3 or not, that's the machlokas the Rosh brings down. And That's talking about even though you're not eating all three at the same
right,
time.
absolutely, absolutely.
Stumps of people hold you can't eat all three because you have to be able. You have to say that each one is valei mutter, and you can't do that when it's all three. You know you're eating the Isser for sure. The other one holds you could because each one that you're eating, you could say could be this is a roll that this is the mutter one. And you say that each one, so they do it. But according to that sheet, let's say you would gulp down all three in one shot.
That's also a problem.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Even according to that sheet that you can eat all three, that's only because you're eating at different times, and you can say at each time you're eating that. So if you gulp it down, all three at one shot, then you have a problem.
And that's why my cooking
That's what I remember. There's such a sheet that says you can't gulp it all down together. I just don't remember if that's
and behind it.
That could be in your cooking. That could be behind the cooking thing.
Right, because
the time goes in, it's mixed up.
And the argument is that it's all a question of how you understand bittul.
If the Isser becomes heter or not.
Right, that's exactly it. And that's what's getting me over here is that it seems to be underlying this whole issue over here is the same idea. And the Rambam seems to be saying the idea that it's mutal achila, then there's no din Isser. The Isser becomes totally batal in the Bal Yura concept. You think though it's Bal Yura, you have half a gazayis over there, you have a half a gazayis over there. It's mitzaref, but somehow this is not mitzaref because of the chila aspect. But
well, certainly, I mean the Ran holds that the whole Indian of Bal Yura is like a halachik deraisa.
Right.
You shouldn't come to eat it. So if eating is mutter,
then why would it be?
Not necessarily true because it can be served for others.
Right, but the fact is...
We're going to stop here.